So,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So, so, are you aware of the full form UI and UX are abbreviations, right? So, are you aware about the full forms of UI and UX?
No,
Okay, okay. So,
I know it's just the designing of the web pages and all. It's related to that, but I don't know about it.
so yeah, of course, if you see in this, uh, in the software, we come across a lot of abbreviations. So you need to keep catching up for like stay on. I mean, of course, based upon the type of work we do, we give a lot of abbreviations. Like UI and UX are also those one of those abbreviations which we are going to discuss today. So UI stands for user interface. Okay, let's focus on UI first and then go to the UX part. So yeah, in general, if you think about the word user, what can you remember for an application, for example?
Uh, User, anything related to a service or a product which he needs.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
who is a user of an application?
See the people.
Yeah. So, so, just to bring a distinction, sometimes, most of the times, what you said is right. We, the people or human beings, are consumers of applications, but this is not always correct. Sometimes one application can be consumed by another application.
Yeah,
You would have
a,
heard
a
about.
part of a part of something like RAM or something like that.
You would have heard about API, right? Application Program Interface.
Yeah, yeah,
So like that, it's possible that one software consumes another software, and that in turn consumes another software. Likewise, so that is one type of user, but that is not relevant for us in today's discussion. We are more interested in the earlier part, that is the human being the user of the application. So so that part is clear, right? So when we are talking about the user, it is the physical user, like the you and me and sir, like we are the users of the application. Now let us look at the other part, the interface part. So this is very interesting, the interface part, because uh, sometimes the abbreviations, they themselves, they have a lot of embedded like the nuggets of information there, and we need to explore much in detail to understand it further. So when you say an interface, what do you get in your mind?
like it's it's between a computer machine and us.
Yeah, so you are sitting on one side, the application is on the other side, and you're saying the interface is something that sits in between the user and the application. That's exactly right. So now when we say something sits in between, actually that interface, what it is actually, it's split into two parts. So the first part is the part which is the front end to the application. That is what you see in the application. The second
Visible.
is, yeah, visible part, exactly. That is one part. Okay. Okay, let us see about the other part. The other part is what you as a user use to interact with that interface. You got it, right? So
Yes, yeah.
as we have split into these two, it appears that it's a small thing, but then we are going to explore further and like unzip this particular division and go into one each of these and then further see where it takes us.
Okay.
So now let's look at the interface part, yeah, the part which is the looks part. Okay. So when you say an application interface, we are talking about only the looks part. So, did you write any code before which has a user interface, which has a UI, or which has a screen? Anything?
No, it was just basic one long time ago. I don't remember it.
Is it like a console
Yeah,
command line program? It,
uh, yeah, just a console part, like the how the blocks are there, all that. But that was also a long time ago. I didn't practice it. I
okay,
mean,
okay.
put it.
Fine. So today we are not getting into code at all because it's not about code. It's more about understanding of this distinction and definitions. So now let's look at the so interface. What you have written is a command line program. So you use it like you write a program, then compile it and run it on the console, and it prints out something. Those are so that you can see command line. If you see how does the user, for example, if you have put some sort of a interaction into the application, how does the user interact with the application?
Should appear should appear to the user something the output or something.
Yeah, so it appears through the console. So that you can say like it's
Yeah.
like a console is like, if you see the evolution of computers, it's like earlier terminals were used which did not have any user interfaces, and then we got Apple and Windows which brought in the user interfaces. So you're
Yes.
saying that it's more like a screen. So uh, when we say screen, which has typically windows, and now let us look at the different types of applications that are possible using screens. Because if you see in today's generation, any if you say any application, then people will assume that it has a look. So, but then that look, based upon the type of application, it differs. For example, if you are doing a PC application, you can assume that the typical screen will be of a particular size.
Yes.
uh, it varies a little bit, but then the typical, okay, 32 inch,
Standard.
15 inch, 25 inch, that standard look, it will have that type of look. Based upon that look, you define what goes where as part of the definition. Okay, so now uh, if you look today's generation, number of that is uh, you can say PCs is one type of application. Can you come up with any other types of applications?
Mobile application.
Exactly. So what is the difference between a PC application and mobile application with respect to
Maybe,
the looks? We are talking about only
yeah,
the looks.
maybe the size. Maybe the
Exactly,
size.
exactly. So what happens? We get a small size. So if a particular application has been designed for a big size screen, it's the looks, and if it has to be designed for a small size screen, there should be some points to keep in mind to distinguish, right? For yeah. So for if there is if for the big screen, if the big button has been put, and for the mobile screen the same logic is also used inside the mobile, the button itself occupies the full screen, so that does not work as well.
Yes.
So some guidelines are needed to differentiate these two. But what happens in our industry is that there are we can't keep on writing applications for each of the different types of devices. For example, for a PC one application, for a mobile one application, the base application, that's the backend part, will be the same, whereas the interface is going to be different.
Yes.
So that part. Okay, this is one concept. The second concept is, can you think about anything else? Okay, PC, mobile, we covered two things. Anything else? Get the get the screen even smaller. That is a hint. Make the screen smaller. See,
I'm not getting. Yeah, I watch or smartwatch. Yeah,
smartwatch. Smartwatch is also a user interface. It is much more
yeah, yeah,
smaller, and then user can interact with that.
yeah,
Okay, fine.
yeah.
Now get it even smaller. There is a problem there because your finger has a particular size.
Yeah.
Your watch has a
Uh,
particular. So if you do something like so minute,
I
you can't interact with it.
yes.
So
Yeah, I got it.
that is the problem. So
Right.
uh, that is where the design guidelines come in when you're defining the user interfaces. Now
Yes.
now let's uh, think about applications that are similar to PC but that are used elsewhere. What a PC requires? A like a complete monitor, a CPU, a RAM, hard disk, all those things. But then if you want to use some things with minimal functionality, with not the whole PC, you would have heard about something called Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, yeah.
So Raspberry Pi, people are attaching that to a small screen and then putting it across in places. Do you know what those things are called?
I'm actually just starting with Raspberry Pi in
Okay,
depth.
fine. So Raspberry Pis are cheaper alternatives. Now using that, you put as it's possible to develop a small system, and they are basically called as kiosk applications. In fact, earlier times they used to keep a PC behind the, for example, behind the screen, the complete PC. For example, if you go to the ATM machine, what happens? An ATM machine is also kiosk, but then if you open an ATM machine, inside you find a complete PC there.
Yes.
But now what they're doing, they're putting small Raspberry Pis, connecting them to a display, and then they are hosting the application over there. So that is another type of interface.
Yeah.
So now let's look at. Uh, do you have any examples? Did you see like a kiosk being used somewhere? Did you use a kiosk anywhere?
Actually, last week only we started with the Raspberry Pi,
No,
not
no,
yet.
no, no, not Raspberry Pi.
No,
Did you use kiosk anywhere? In general usage, in your day-to-day usage.
maybe I used, but it was an application of that. I don't know.
Do you watch movies
Yeah,
in malls? Did you go to mall anytime? Watch.
yeah, yeah.
Did you see
Yes.
outside the mall when you're booking a ticket, there is a counter on one side. On the other side, you can book tickets by yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
That is a kiosk.
Okay, okay.
Now let's see where these kiosks are used. I'll show a
Oh,
small video which explains a little bit. Now let me do screen sharing here. Where do I do screen sharing? And catch this meeting. Turn off camera is there. Okay. Okay, yeah, now here I see your entire screen. Okay, right. Are you able to see my screen?
yeah.
What do you see over there?
UI UX are
Okay, cool. So that's the title of this. So let's see just a small video. Focus on different places where these kiosks are used. Okay.
Okay.
Would you like to learn more about kiosk apps? I'm Vidya, and I'll help you explore what kiosk apps
Actually,
can do
I'm not
and
able
how
to
you
hear
can
this sound.
Yeah, okay, you're not getting the audio. Okay.
Yeah, I think when you play, there is a small flag somewhere that says share the audio.
Audio.
Okay. Stop presenting. Probably when I start sharing that comes.
Yeah, when you start sharing, it will come.
Okay, let me restart. Present now and then a window. I select the window. Share.
build them.
How about now?
Hang on tight and enjoy the ride.
No?
No.
No, okay. Well,
Or try sharing the full screen, maybe. I mean,
okay. Present now your entire screen.
yeah, when we're playing in the tabs, there's a separate setting that shows up and says.
Okay, now I'm sharing my full screen. Okay, presentation. Okay, oh, maybe this one.
Yeah.
There is no option to unmute this one.
Well, since about UI, well, let's watch it and see what happens without the voice.
Oh, that's nice. No, in the meanwhile, let me just check this anyway. Let's try. Yeah, let's just see. So basically, just to give an intro, let's. It shows the different types of kiosk applications. Okay.
Would you like to learn more about kiosk apps? I'm Vidya, and I'll help you explore what kiosk apps can do and how you can build them. Hang on tight and enjoy the ride. Unleash the power of kiosk apps with me. First, let's see some single-purpose devices in action. Although you might not even realize it, these devices are all around you. Here is a restaurant cafe with an interactive display showing the menu and specials for the day. A customer can walk up to the display and scan the QR code for a chance to win a meal. You might also find a device at a doctor's office where patients check in and wait their turn. Many grocery stores now support self-serve point-of-sale kiosks where customers can scan items and pay for them. Self-serve kiosks are also appearing at movie theaters where guests can purchase tickets. An innovative application is an integrated library catalog and Wayfinder kiosk showing the map of the library building. A guest can browse the collection, determine if a book is available, and locate the section that contains the book. These devices are also used in educational environments. Here is a 5th grade class where students are taking online tests in a lockdown secured environment.
So that finishes the video. I guess I need to share.
If you have the link, they can watch it later also. We can share the link and.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Just one more testing. How about now?
Would you like to learn more about kiosk apps? I'm
Yes.
Vidya, and I'll help you explore.
Okay.
what
So,
kiosk
but is
apps
it
can do
clear? Is
and
it
how you can
audible?
build them. Hang on tight and enjoy the ride. Unleash the
Yes.
power of kiosk apps.
Yeah. Sorry.
Cool.
First, let's see some single-purpose devices in action. Although you might not even realize it, these devices are all around you. Here is a restaurant cafe with an interactive display showing the menu and specials for the day. A customer can walk up to the display and scan the QR code for a chance to win a meal. You might also find a device at a doctor's office where patients check in and wait their turn. Many grocery stores now support self-serve point-of-sale kiosks where customers can scan items and pay for them. Self-serve kiosks are also appearing at movie theaters where guests can purchase tickets. An innovative application is an integrated library catalog and Wayfinder kiosk showing the map of the library building. A guest can browse the collection, determine if a book is available, and locate the section that contains the book. These devices are also used in educational environments. Here is a 5th grade class where students are taking online tests in a lockdown secured environment.
So these kiosks, kiosks again require, they are like mobile phones because unlike PCs, they have a touch-based interface, and like mobiles, they have a touch-based interface. Because usually PCs, for example, they don't, the monitor does not have a touch, right? So,
Yeah.
but kiosk, the requirement is that there is touch.
Yes.
So that consideration while developing a PC and kiosk, the distinction should be borne in mind.
But kiosks are more application specific, or they are
Yeah,
multi-purpose?
correct. They are more application specific, right? And that
Good
is also
point.
you can consider as a nice distinction because PCs are generic, right? You can write any application. That's a very nice, valid. So
Yeah, you can see the logo.
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, please.
Go ahead, Avinash. Go ahead.
So the next thing is televisions. We are talking about other types of applications. Now in that we have something called, we had televisions for a long time, but now if you see, all that we have is smart televisions, smart TVs.
Yeah.
So smart TVs, if you have to develop applications for smart TVs again do not have a touch screen. How do you interact with the smart TV?
With the remote control,
Exactly.
or
So yeah,
even the mobile apps.
mobile app or remote control. So the interaction paradigm is different, and the way the application has to be laid out is different, and a remote control is so small that you can't enter, it's not a keyboard, so it has another set of limitations. So now let us look at the design
Yes.
considerations for user interface that we have if we have to develop a smart TV based application. I'm switching on the video again.
Yeah, Avinash, Neha just joined. Neha,
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
how are you?
Fine. Sorry for the delay. Actually, I'm outside.
Okay. Hi Neha, today so we just got started. We were discussing about different types of user interfaces, and
Okay.
yeah, so I guess we are recording this session as well. The recording is going on, so probably whatever you missed, you can catch up once I share this recording after the session.
Yes, sure, sir. Yes.
Okay. So right now let's look at the video which shows about smart TV based application user interface design specifications.
Okay.
Even when you can watch your favorite shows anytime and anywhere on your smartphones, TV still holds a special place in our hearts. It's always a treat to watch content on a big screen. So when you're designing for a TV interface, what should you keep in mind? Let's find out. Number 1, navigation. Navigating through a TV UI can be a daunting task. Your goal is to reduce the number of clicks taken to perform a task. A creatively designed navigation with breadcrumbs and search can enable easy access to even deeper drill downs of content. Number 2, categorization. When you rightly categorize and arrange content, it makes the design easy to use. For that, your categorization should be based on solid user research. Using card sorting, contextual inquiry, and affinity diagrams, you can accurately align content with users' mental model. Number 3, typing. Typing on a TV interface is excruciatingly difficult. To make it easier, you could incorporate an intuitive autocomplete feature, or even a speech recognition feature.
Dinosaur movies.
This will make it much easier for the user to enter inputs. Number 4, recommendations. Enabling accurate recommendations based on content and users' behavior, especially on important pages, can make navigation much smoother. It's also a good practice to have the recommendations on the search bar take you directly to the content, instead of listing search results. Number 5, progressive innovation. TV is one of the oldest UIs used by people of all ages. They're used to certain features and functions like a turn off button, mute button, previous next buttons, and volume controls. Therefore, while designing for TV, consider these features so that your design can align with their existing mental model. That's about it. The king of the living room is here to stay, and it's time for us to brush up on our skills to design for the big screen.
Okay, so that was about the television. So Neha, earlier Naimisha, she has told a couple of things, questions. So the next question is going for you. The earlier what we had discussed is there is a there is a PC, PC screen, and then there is a mobile screen, and if you want to get even smaller, there is a smartwatch. Okay, so
Okay.
these are different types of user interfaces. Now, can you is it possible for you to tell an interface, user interface that is bigger than a PC monitor or bigger than a TV, for instance? Can you imagine some sort of user interface?
Theater.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, a theater. The only thing is in theater is a one-way medium. Okay,
Yeah.
the what you said is 100% correct, but right now we are talking about interfaces which interact, where the user has, yeah. So can you imagine of any other interface that is bigger than the PC, which is interactive?
And AV.
Right, you're in the right direction. So AV is right, but the thing is, current approach, for example, you can take a projector, you can project it.
Oh yes, projector. Yes.
Yeah, but usually if you see the projectors by themselves are not interactive. You display something onto the projector, but there are different types of applications possible in the world, and each of the application has different types of interfaces. Now let's look at a small video of a projector based application that has a user interface which reacts to the user, and which is used currently for different types of creative types of applications. I am showing a small video which shows you that. It's a very small video, just watch it.
Avinash, I just want to make one quick comment.
Sure.
I use a tablet. I think some of you may be also using a tablet. Yesterday in the Microsoft Word document, I had to put my signature. So I just wrote it on the screen, signed on the screen, and Microsoft Word has a feature to make that possible and put it into the document. Right? So I didn't have to sign on the paper, scan it, and all those things. I just signed. So.
Yeah, this reminds me of that first project, Adobe eSign, sir. We used to do it at Inspira. We got.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's reality after so many years. So this is also a very interesting use case what sir has told. Just if you can recollect. Okay, so let's look at the projection mapping scenario. So this is, you see here in the video, the projector, there is a user here and something is being projected to the screen, and then just check how interaction happens in this video. Okay, so when we are talking about user interfaces, it need not be our typical user interfaces, it need not be our typical applications. The applications can vary widely, accordingly the user interfaces can vary widely. But then if there are distinct applications, then we do not have any issue. But if the application is the same and it has to cater to different form factors on the looks part, on the UI part, then it is necessary. The importance of user interface is all the more highlighted, or there has to be special attention given to the design of the user interfaces in such cases. So are they let's look at different types of applications. Until now we have seen applications which are more 2D types. For example, there is a flat screen and the application is displayed on the flat screen. So that is two-dimensional applications. So once you started Naimisha with almost one dimension, like for example the console based application, you can assume
Yes.
like it's we are not talking about graphical, but you can assume that it requires only the keyboard to operate, so you can say it is a one dimensional type, whereas the other applications what we discussed till now are two-dimensional applications. Now
Yes.
we are going to leap forward and look at applications that add another dimension to them, that are three-dimensional in nature. Okay, can you like guess, or can you spell out, did you see any such applications in your day-to-day activities until now? You would have seen, but probably you would not have highlighted, but do you remember any such application?
Google Assistant.
Google
Voice.
Assistant voice is another dimension, right? Yeah, yeah, that's a valid answer. Yes, Google Assistant is a good answer. Anything else? I'm talking about the visual part, because user interface and looks.
Lens.
Yeah,
We can scan it also using Google. Search for the document by scanning something or taking a photograph.
okay, scanning.
Search for it.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. But that is also two-dimensional. Okay, now let me get into the three-dimensional part. Did you hear about augmented reality? Did you listen to an application where you have there is one application which recently somebody has developed, where inside your room you get Modi, Narendra Modi, Prime Minister, and then you and he together take a photo.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so similar application. So that is one general most known use case. But then this particular concept is widely used in industry right now. It is exposing the third dimension, and let us look at a small video that shows how in industry the third dimension is being put to use.
Engineering belongs to the real world, and we are the ones shaping it. We are pioneers, bringing engineering to the next level. Create, visualize, and manipulate your 3D models. Analyze and discuss virtual designs. Evaluate concepts months earlier. United across time and distance, collaboration becomes stronger. Merge virtual designs with real components in real environments. Plan installations with reference to reality, faster and more secure. Let's reach the next level and design our future. AR Engineering, the better engineering.
Okay, so what do you think about that video that you saw?
Something virtual.
Yeah, so where is the display? Where is the looks for that application? That's an application, right? So there are people, real people, and they are accessing an application. So where is that application installed? Where it could have been installed?
Maybe in that device which they're
Right? It's installed in that device which they are wearing. You see there is a glass in front of the device. So what the user is seeing is a projection to the onto the reality. You see the entire that is his physical space. But then you see a 3D model over there, the model of the car or the model of the industrial design of the machine over there is projected onto that, and the user is made to feel that it exists as a part of the reality. It exists as a part of his room. So what can the user do? This is a new paradigm. This is something which was not existing 10 years back. It does not exist at all. You had mobiles 10 years back, you had PCs 20 years back, you had consoles 30 years back, but this exists only for the last 5 years. So this is a new paradigm. So this is also this application. Suppose this application has to be developed, it also has a user interface, and that user interface has to be developed. So that has a different way in which you approach designing for that. And do you remember how the user in that video was interacting with that model that was displayed?
maybe some pen.
Yeah, he was using some pen. So using that pen, where was he writing? He was writing in the air, right? Because there's nothing that is existing, it's all air in front of him. But then he is seeing something and then he's writing something. That is one part. So the interaction modality is also changing in this case. The second is, if you see, there is another person who is there in the same video who is also seeing what this guy is seeing. So there is synchronization of display. There are a lot of things going on in that video, because I'll share that video across once after completion. You have to look at it at a couple of times to understand how they build that type of application. The person who is the first person who is seeing that application is seeing the car from one perspective. The other person who is behind that, she is also looking at that, but then that person is looking at it in their perspective, because they also are wearing the same sort of a device. So there is one application, or there is one 3D model over there, and both people are viewing them in different angles. These types of applications that are becoming prevalent, that are going to have a future, that seem to be having exponential growth, also need user interfaces that have to be defined in a different way. Okay, this is, again, if you look at 3D applications, this is a different type of 3D application where inside your reality the application exists. So the application exists without any screens, I mean without any physical the 2D screens what we are used to. There is no mobile screen,
Yes.
there is no smartwatch screen, there is no PC screen, nothing is there. Okay.
Physical part of it is not there.
Exactly. Yeah. So the physical part is there, but it is like it's on the face.
Compact.
Yeah.
No.
So this is again one type of application. Now in the same style, there are another setup. So what do these application come under into which category? We just talked about the name for you to. That name is also an abbreviation to add to your list of abbreviations. It's called
Augmented reality.
yeah, and AR is the abbreviation, augmented reality.
Yeah.
So this particular type of application inside augmented reality is called a contextual augmented reality application. So there is a context which both the users are sharing, and in that common context the application exists.
Okay.
So now let us look at another type of an augmented reality application. It's also augmented reality, but it's a slightly different type of augmented reality application. I'm switching on that video.
Let me paint a familiar picture. You exit the subway, you're already running late for an appointment or a tech company conference, that happens. And then your phone says, head south on Market Street. So what do? One problem, you have no idea which way is south. So you look down at the phone, you're looking at that blue dot on the map, and you're starting to walk to see if it's moving in the same direction. If it's not, you're turning around. They've all been there. So we asked ourselves, well, what if the camera can help us here? Our teams have been working really hard to combine the power of the camera, the computer vision, with Street View and maps to reimagine walking navigation. So here's how it could look like in Google Maps. Let's take a look. You open the camera. You instantly know where you are. No futzing with the phone. All the information on the map, the street names, the directions, right there in front of you. Notice that you also see the map, so that way you stay oriented. You can start to see nearby places, so you see what's around you. And just for fun, our team's been playing with an idea of adding a helpful guide, like that there, so that it can show you the way. Oh, there she goes. Pretty cool.
I have that problem.
Going one direction.
In Paris, invariably we come up the metro from underground and go the wrong way first and then back.
So, what does this? What do you think about this video, Neha, Naimsha? What do you think about this video? What's happening in this video? Where is the application?
It's
Google Maps.
Yeah, right. Google Maps, but
navigation.
where is the application installed?
The mobile.
In the mobile phone. And then what is the user doing? He's showing like he's seeing his space, and then unlike the earlier application, this time the user is moving from one place to another, and then based upon his movement, the application is taking into consideration the user's movement, the user's location, and at runtime it is displaying useful information about the location. The user interface is not defined, it's based upon, it's dynamic. The user can be going anywhere in the world, but then that information that's being displayed is dynamic, and that is an overlay on top of the world, the physical world. And that is one level more, that is, it is contextual, that is one, because it takes the location of the user and it is overlaying on top of the real world dynamically. So this is another type of application,
Yes.
which is coming under the location aware applications. It is also augmented reality location aware application. So what happens, like, because this application, what is the use of this application? You go to a new place and you keep asking, if you ask somebody how do you go there, which happens very commonly, right? If you go to a new place, and then immediately the person knows that you are not aware of the directions. So I mean, you don't, with the aid of technology now, you don't have to do that. But then using a phone right now, we are able to go from a place to B place without that. But then constantly you need to look at your phone and see where you're going, and as settled whether the pointer is going that side or it's going the other side, and then you need to change it. Now combine the previous video with this video and imagine small like glasses, wearing glasses like you are reading glasses, small glasses, and then walking on the street. You are not colliding something because you are watching your real world, but then some extra information is overlaid with respect to directions on top of the real world. So that is the killer app, augmented reality. That is the second part of augmented reality. That is a killer app. But then if you have to do an application for that, who does applications for example, I have a business somewhere, and then somebody has to be there who puts those overlays, right? There are 10 businesses in that locality, and then these smart phone application, this video what you've seen is released 2 years back, and people are augmenting their physical spaces with these virtual overlays. Now what happens, you go to a place, there are 10 businesses, and a user wears this glasses. I'm talking about futuristic scenario. Right now user takes his mobile phone, places it, and then out of those 10, only that guy which has implemented the application overlay is going to get visibility, right? He's going to get marketing. So you see that advantage. Yes. But then if you have to develop applications that make use of if you have to develop user interface based application, because those also have a user interface, and there are different set of guidelines that have to be kept in mind for those applications, because if there is a traffic coming in front, you can't overlay something on top of that. You don't want to get accidents, right? So there are again for designing for those type of applications, there are a different set of guidelines. So if you see, the user interface designing is quite diverse based upon the type of application that we are using. The requirements changes variedly. Sometimes some applications have to work across multiple form factors, so they have to be dealt differently, and some applications are different in the dimensional aspect, those have to be dealt differently. Now let's look at one final type of application which is also in 3 dimensions, which also requires different type of user interfaces to be built. Playing a short video on that. So what do you think about this application?
It's more interactive with the user.
Okay, so what is this application? Where is the user in that application? Did you see any user?
No, he's not present physically.
Okay, but
Virtually he's handling.
okay, so there is a user inside that application, inside that video what we've seen, and there is an surrounding environment, and if you see, it's something like it looks like a room. It has got multiple screens all over the place. You see all over left and right there are screens, and each screen is having different stuff. Some are showing videos, some are showing graphs, and the user is present inside that environment as a character, as a virtual character, and what is he doing? He's trying to interact with the application. He's trying to soak in all the data that is coming from different directions. So this is another type of application. This application comes under the category called virtual reality, where the human is present in a virtual form, and then the reality, the physical reality what we see around is augmented or is removed completely, and some other reality, it's completely different, some other reality is put, and that reality is having components that are more relevant to that person's business. If you see, that is in ways a dream come true for many people who are working in as IT professionals, right? You want to have information laid out everywhere. For doing that, what people do, they do, like, they have multiple monitors. You have one monitor, then two monitors, three monitors, and then there is something called a war room, which is also used in corporates, wherein there is a person inside a war room, and on each wall of the room a physical display is put.
Okay.
So can you imagine the cost of that war room? It's nothing but the cost of individual LED screens multiplied by number of LEDs, right? So it's going to be costlier stuff.
Yes.
Now, the way this happens, this virtual reality happens, is you don't need any of those things. But it is possible by, again, like in the previous case, by putting on a pair of glasses, or by putting on something called virtual reality headsets. Let me, am I visible to you? Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. So right now, if you see in the current advancement, they look like this, something like this, a virtual reality headset. It's like a glass. It's a bit. It's a bit bulky, but then designs are coming that reduce the size and make these virtual reality headsets like your glasses. And in the next 4 to 5 years, we're going to get there. That because companies are designing, companies in the sense, like billions of dollars are already invested by Facebook, because Facebook acquired one company and then it's refining its processes and trying to iterate and get lightweight glasses. Why do we need lightweight? Because if it's a very heavy thing, then there are different concerns. What happens? Are there any physical constraints with the weight of that? Because you have to put it on your head, right? But then if you look at the advantages that it possesses comparatively, they are widely, they are not only cost effective, they are increasing the productivity of a user by leaps and bounds.
Yes.
So what we have seen over there is also an application that also has a user interface that is defined in 3D. So there again, if we have to develop something over there, that also requires different types of thinking of user interfaces. So this covers the first part. Like I think we are also near approaching the time, right? So keeping that in mind, this we can say that this covers the part, the user interface. So let's try to conclude this in a way, so that, because we need to conclude this also, right? So if you see application, when you say application, though application is a normal word, or user interface is a normal or a small simple word, when you get deep into that, it might mean a different things. And there are people whose entire career is just spent in user interface designing. So this, like your development of applications, designing a user interface of application is now becoming very prominent and very important. And also it requires a particular feel for the type of applications. And then, for example, these new applications that are coming in, have to if interfaces have to be developed, then we need to keep into consideration what type of how to develop. Now, how do we develop, for example, interfaces for a 3D application? How do we develop? So these are all the know-hows that are required, because it's a 1 hour discussion about user interfaces. This is where we could go until now for this, but then the possibilities are endless. But if you're interested, the UI and UX is a broad field. But if you see PC user interfaces have existed for a long time, mobile user interfaces have existed for a long time. So there are people who are already designing for these things. Whereas few things what we have discussed, the smartphones, smartwatches, the Fitbits, the even smaller versions that you carry,
Yes.
and then the augmented reality and virtual reality things what we've seen, for these there is a gap. There is a gap with respect to the number of people who are aware of the skills, and the number of people and the skills that are required, and the requirements in the market for these people. So as you come out, you need to also look at those things. You need to look at unsaturated markets and fill up those gaps, right? So these are some areas that you can focus on for creating the user interfaces. First, you look at for what applications I'm going to create the user interfaces, and second, once you are clear, okay, this is where I need to concentrate, this is where I like doing stuff, then you need to think about how, because it's not just like a job, right? Okay, you get a job, you go and start developing some things. After 10 years it's obsolete, then you see what next. Not like that. So if your interest lies in user interface, then you need to pick up what is right now trending in the user interface stuff, look at the gaps, and then fill in those gaps with your skills. So there is a lot more to learn on this, but of course, as you said, all these videos what I have shared are already existing in YouTube. But then that orientation and the direction, if you are aware and if you are passionate, then you can follow it across, and then you can get those resources. There are even courses specific to these which take quite a while for you to learn and understand this stuff. But then if you're interested, if you're bent on learning those, you can get those things. Of course, right now the advantage is everything is internet, so everything is available everywhere. So but you can focus specifically for these sort of interfaces. So that I think concludes this session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you so much, Avinash. I greatly enjoyed this presentation and the interaction.